A few years ago, I hit one of the lowest points of my life. I won't go too deep into it right now, but I'll say this: it was the kind of low where you sit on your kitchen floor at 2 in the morning and you don't really know why you ended up there. I wasn't crying. I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting. Still. Quiet. Somewhere between numb and overwhelmed. And then I felt it. A weight against my leg. My dog, a 4-year-old mixed breed named Kodi, had padded out of the bedroom in the dark, found me on that floor, and pressed himself against my side. He didn't whine. He didn't lick my face or try to make me play. He just leaned into me and stayed there. Like he had decided, without any drama, that wherever I was, that's where he was going to be. I sat there for probably another hour. And when I finally got up and went to bed, I felt, genuinely, less alone. Not fixed. Not cured. But held, in some quiet biological way that I couldn't fully explain at the time. It was that night that made me obsessed with a single question: what is actually happening inside a dog's mind? What did Kodi sense that night? What was I to him in that moment? Because I knew it wasn't just owner and pet. It was something older, and deeper, and more real than that. And the more I've researched it, the more I've gone down the rabbit hole of behavioral science, evolutionary biology, and animal cognition, the more I've come to understand that what happened on that kitchen floor wasn't just a sweet moment. It was the product of 15,000 years of biology doing exactly what it was designed to do. So today I want to walk you through what your dog actually thinks you are. And I promise you, by the end of this, the way you look at the animal in your home is going to shift permanently. Let's go back. Way back. About 15,000 years, to the edges of early human settlements. Wolves were beginning to do something unusual. Instead of fleeing from human presence, a small number of them started moving closer. Not attacking. Not hunting. Just existing nearby. The ones who could tolerate that proximity survived. The ones who could read human body language, anticipate human movement, respond to human social cues, they thrived. And generation after generation, over thousands of years, this pressure shaped a completely new kind of animal. Not the wolf built for wilderness. The animal built for us. This is the part that I think most people miss. Dogs didn't just get domesticated the way cattle or horses did, penned in because we found them useful. Dogs co-evolved with us. Their brains literally changed because of us. They developed cognitive abilities that are specifically, almost exclusively, designed for human interaction. And one of the most striking examples of this is something you've probably done without even thinking about it. Point at something right now. Just point at a spot across the room. If your dog is nearby, watch what happens. They'll look where you're pointing. They'll follow your finger. That sounds so ordinary that it barely registers as remarkable, but here's the thing: chimpanzees, our closest genetic relatives on this planet, largely cannot do this. Even very young human infants have to develop this skill over time. And yet a puppy with almost no experience will follow a human point almost instinctively. Because their brain was shaped, over millennia, to read us. To track us. To decode us. I think about Kodi and the number of times he's looked at my face before I've spoken a single word and somehow already known what I needed. There was a morning last winter, I was getting ready to leave for a long day, rushing around, stressed out of my mind about a deadline, and he just sat at the end of the hallway and watched me. Not following me around. Not getting underfoot. Just watching. And at one point I glanced at him and he tilted his head slightly, and something about it made me stop moving for a second. Just a second. I took one breath. And then I kept going. But he gave me that breath. He read the room without a single word being exchanged. This is because dogs have evolved something researchers call a left gaze bias when they look at human faces. When your dog looks at you, their gaze naturally drifts slightly to their left, which means they're focusing on the right side of your face. And the right side of the human face is controlled by the emotional right hemisphere of the brain. It's the more expressive side. The side that's harder to fake. Dogs have evolved to look at the exact part of your face that reveals what you're actually feeling. They can read micro-expressions, tiny involuntary flickers of emotion that most humans miss in each other entirely. Your dog, in a very real sense, knows your emotional state before you've announced it. Before you've even fully registered it yourself. That night on the kitchen floor, Kodi didn't hear me crying because I wasn't crying. I hadn't said a word. I'd barely moved. But something in my face, my posture, the particular stillness of my body, it broadcast something. And he received it. That's not magic. That's evolution doing a 15,000-year-old job perfectly. Now I want to talk about what you actually represent to your dog at a psychological level, because this is the piece that changed everything for me. For a long time, the popular explanation was the pack leader model, the idea that your dog sees you as the alpha of their pack, and that your authority is what keeps everything in order. But the research has moved well beyond that now. And what it's replaced it with is both simpler and more profound. You are your dog's primary attachment figure. This was tested directly in studies that placed dogs in mildly stressful, unfamiliar environments and observed what happened depending on whether their owner was present, a stranger was there, or no one was around at all. The results were almost identical to what developmental psychologists see when they study human children and their parents. When the owner was present, the dog explored more freely, showed lower signs of stress, and returned to the owner periodically as a kind of home base. When the owner left, stress indicators spiked. When a stranger tried to comfort the dog, it helped, but not nearly as much as the owner coming back. The researchers used the same term that attachment theorists use for parent-child bonding, the secure base effect. Your dog doesn't just prefer you over strangers. Your dog uses you as the psychological foundation from which they experience the entire world. I felt this in a way I didn't expect when I went away on a trip for 2 weeks a couple of years ago. My partner stayed home with Kodi, so he was safe and cared for and in his own environment. And apparently, according to my partner, he was completely fine during the days. Active, eating well, normal. But every evening around the time I would usually get home, he'd go to the door. Just sit there. Not desperately. Not frantically. Just sit there and wait. For 2 weeks. Every single evening. At my usual time. When I tell that story, people say, "Oh, that's so sweet." And it is. But I want you to understand what it actually means neurologically. Because your dog, when you are away, doesn't just wait passively. They emotionally process your absence. Studies measuring stress hormones in dogs found that cortisol, the primary stress marker, rises when owners leave. And the things that bring it back down are telling. Not food necessarily. Not just any friendly face. But the sound of your specific voice. The scent of your clothing. Researchers placed unwashed shirts belonging to the dog's owner near stressed dogs and found measurable calming effects, activation of the brain's reward centers, from the smell alone. You are so embedded in your dog's neurology that your scent, by itself, is biological medicine. I started keeping an old hoodie of mine near Kodi's bed after I learned this. Whether it actually helps him I can't say for certain, but every time I see him resting with his chin near it, I think about the strangeness and beauty of being someone's safe harbor without even being in the room. Now I want to tell you about the oxytocin loop, because this is the piece of science that I think about most often. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone, released during deep social connection, between friends, between partners, and most powerfully between a mother and her newborn child. It's the neurochemical foundation of human love and trust. And a team of Japanese researchers discovered that when a dog and their owner gaze into each other's eyes, both of them, both the human and the dog, experience a rise in oxytocin levels. A mutual hormonal feedback loop of connection, triggered by eye contact. The same process that binds a parent to a child is happening between you and your dog when you sit quietly together and just look at each other. I remember the first time I read that study. I was sitting with Kodi at the time, actually. Just the two of us in the early morning, that slow quiet before the day starts. And I looked at him, really looked at him, and thought, this is real. This thing I feel is not just projection. It's not just sentimentality. It's chemistry. It's biology. It's 15,000 years of two species becoming something to each other that neither one fully is without the other. And then he yawned enormously and walked away to get a drink of water, which felt very on brand. But that moment stayed with me. Because here's what I think so many people miss about their dogs: we spend so much time trying to understand them as animals, categorizing them, training them, managing them, that we forget to recognize what the science is quietly telling us. Which is that your dog is not trying to understand you the way you try to understand a foreign species. They already know you. They were built to know you. There is one more thing I want to cover before we close out today, and it's something I find endlessly fascinating: the language of the tail. Most of us grew up thinking a wagging tail simply equals a happy dog. But research published in a peer-reviewed biology journal found that the direction of a wag carries completely different emotional information. A tail wagging with a bias to the dog's right side is associated with positive emotional states, relaxation, happiness, engagement. A wag bias to the left signals anxiety, alertness, or unease. And other dogs can read this. When researchers showed dogs footage of other dogs with right-biased versus left-biased wags, the watching dogs responded calmly to the right wag and showed stress responses to the left. The tail is a constant emotional broadcast to the entire room, and every dog in that room is fluent in the language. I started paying attention to Kodi's tail direction after I learned this, and it is genuinely a different experience. It's like suddenly being able to read subtitles. There are whole emotional conversations happening in that tail that I was walking past every day, so let me bring everything together now. Because what I want you to leave this video with isn't just a collection of interesting facts. I want you to leave with a felt sense of something. Your dog evolved alongside the human species. Their brain was literally shaped by us, for us, over thousands of years of shared history. They track your face, reading the emotional right side of it with a precision that most humans can't match. They know your scent the way you know your own name. They process your absence with genuine physiological stress. They look into your eyes and release the same bonding hormone that connects parents to their children. They broadcast their inner emotional world through the direction of their tail. And they will find you on a kitchen floor at 2 in the morning in the dark and press their body against yours without needing a single word of explanation. You are not just their owner. You are not just a food source or a pack leader or a convenient warmth on a cold night. You are the central organizing presence of their emotional world. You are the safe base. You are the scent that means home. You are the face they have spent every single day of their life learning to read and trust and return to. And here is what I keep coming back to. Years after that night on the kitchen floor with Kodi, this goes both ways. You release oxytocin when you look at your dog. Your stress markers drop in their presence. Your nervous system quiets. Something in your biology responds to them the same way theirs responds to you. The bond isn't one-directional. It never was. It was built over 15,000 years of two species choosing each other so many times and in so many small ways that the choice eventually became chemistry. Kodi is asleep in the other room right now as I'm writing this. And I know that when I walk in there and he hears my footsteps, his tail will start moving before he even opens his eyes. Because whatever I am to him, not human, not a pack leader, not a giant strange dog, I am his. And if you have a dog in your life, then you already know what I mean. You feel it every single time they look at you. The science just finally caught up to what we already knew in our bones.